Hey, how's it going? Today I'm going to be talking about taxes, in particular the history of taxes and how taxes got started. And I'm going to be taking a look at different governments and and trying to understand history, if anything. The history of taxation is a long and complex one, dating back to thousands of years. Taxation has played a crucial role in funding governments and supporting public services, infrastructure, and other social needs. Let's take a look at a brief history of taxation. Ancient civilizations. Taxation can be traced back to ancient civilizations such as Egypt, Mesopotamia, and Greece. In these early societies, taxes were often levied in the form of agriculture, produce, or labor services. The tax revenue was used to support rulers, armies, and public workers. Rome Empire. The Rome were known for their extensive tax systems. They levied taxes on various forms of wealth, including property, goods, and individuals. This revenue generated from the taxes helped fund the Roman Empire's extensive infrastructure and military campaigns. Feudalism. During the Middle Ages, feudal lords collected taxes from the peasants in exchange for protection and the use of land. These taxes typically look at the form of agricultural products or labor services. Emerges of modern taxes. The modern concept of taxation as we understand it today began with it take shape in 17th century and early 18th century. The rise of nation states and need for centralized governments led to the development of more systematic and consistent tax systems. American Revolution. In particular, I'm going to be focusing on this particular stage, which I personally believe, and based on my research I have done, I think that's where we should take a look at, and that's where all the things got started. American Revolution. The slogan "No taxation without representation" played a significant role in American Revolution. Colonized in North America protested against British taxation without their consent. This led to development of the principle of democratic representation and taxation that over summarize of particular status and how things got started. That's over summary. So, but that's something. So, if anything, do your own research and try to understand the particular process in place and how everything got started and the reasoning behind some of the decisions were made in that particular way. Income tax. The modern income tax was known as we know it today was first introduced in the early 19th century in the United States. The first income tax was enacted in 1861 to fund the Civil War in the United Kingdom. The income tax was introduced in 1799. So United Kingdom, but it was more like a crowdfunding, right, than raising taxes, right? So everyone was giving to local and then central government how much they could at the time, in particular to fund war against United States by United Kingdom. So this is where everything got started. Same United Kingdom, which came up with the concept of Robin Hood, right? So based on some of the stories, and one of those ways how you can present a story, and where we currently are with taxes, right? So idea itself, the concept itself was started on perhaps best intentions. Concept of taxes was to take surplus of whatever uh, so-called rich had at the time, so any surplus, and give it to the poor, and that to be distributed by the government. So Robin Hood theory, that's how everything got started with taxes, right? But over time, Uh, I don't know how much of you do you understand the rules of the game, and something about myself. I'm doing a lot of research to understand a little bit better, and some of those tax codes and how you can operate with potentially paying very little or no taxes, right? So if you can, potentially, if you don't understand some of those tax codes, whatever you might be operating within, perhaps US, Europe, UK, Australia, different parts of the world where you're operating. So this Robin Hood concept and how and where we are right now when operating your business, right? So if you can, right, this is how things should work, right? So this Robin Hood concept, the way how it should work. If you are rich, I guess, that means you and the surplus that you do have should give it to the poor, right? So that's the reason behind taxation and some of those stories that myself or other people grew up with. What the from my own understanding and research that I'm doing about some of the tax codes, some of the legal agreements, and having or paying a little bit extra to accountant, it's starting to understand the way how taxes actually work. If you can, if you would like to operate your business for uh, perhaps 20 years without making any money, so what you're gonna tax then for 20 years? Some of the top companies up there, they're not profitable companies, right? So what you gonna tax then? So what's Robin Hood there? So what's the Robin Hood companies there, right? Or concept there? For people out there who are interested in learning more, I have published a course. In the course, I'm sharing a lot of information for people to. I have done a lot of research myself to understand it first. From there, I'm sharing fundamentals, which I believe are very important for where to start, what would be important then, and how to become a very effective and highly productive individual. I have published as a course, as well as you can find PDF files. You can reach out to me if you have any questions. It's published in 12 different lessons, and it's structured so it would be most important things that everyone should know of and learn of in the beginning of whatever you are looking to achieve. It's very flexible. It's designed for most of the people out there. If you are interested, feel free to reach out to me, or you can go to my company's website in the description below and purchase this course. Story itself is taken from the book that I have just finished listening to. Audiobook was Rich Dad Poor Dad, and they have introduced this concept of Robin Hood and all the history. I thought it's a very interesting story to tell and share with all the people out there who would like to understand a little bit better how things got started and what was the reason behind income tax in the first place, to potentially raise money to go into war in the beginning. So that's how everything got started, right? From there, they thought it's a really good idea and we can potentially raise more money to support the different government programs, support social workers, support governments, right? But this concept itself, I'm not entirely sure if that works or if there are some alternatives up there. Some of the projects up there what could potentially replace that. That's if anything, and the takeaways. So I don't want to get into stuck into some of the arguments with some of the people out there. Well, I'm interested in being constructive, right? That are approaching these kind of problems, right? If some of these concepts do not work anymore, or there's some people introducing new policy, new lobbying initiatives that's been taking place, where governments should be overseeing everything, but governments themselves they tend to hold on to any control or power that they have in the first place. Then it's other governments need to go into war with each other to take on some of that control. So all the mess. That's a massive mess, if anything. That's the way I'm looking at it. So once we acknowledge perhaps this existing system or concept, and we need new rules, right? If anything, instead of me sitting here, I'm trying to be trying to learn all these rules that we currently have in place. Perhaps we can throw all those rules away. I don't know what anarchist doesn't, right? And perhaps develop new systems and reshuffle everything and try perhaps to do things differently, or perhaps some of those current systems can be outsourced to technology, and by doing that, we can reduce some of the cost that we can incur by just by administration fees that we'd have by running different governments, not necessarily very effective governments, from my personal experience. Dealing with the different governments, differing with different government departments, how ineffective those departments can be. Perhaps people in there can oversee everything, but do something, because currently I don't see people are doing anything. Usually I like to finish on a positive note, if anything. Robin Hood book, perhaps if people are that interested in learning more, or perhaps going with this concept of taking from the rich and giving to the poor. So if you actually believe in that, depending on your age, perhaps you might be interested in believing this kind of stories, right? So let's finish on that on positive note. This kind of stories and how that actually works in practice, how those businesses are actually, without naming names of the businesses, right? So if they do understand the rules and they're playing by those rules, what I'm saying, perhaps replacing those rules with a different rules that would be thoughts and ideas and how to do it, right? Thanks for watching. I'll see you next one.